The main event can make or break a show. It doesn't matter how good the undercard is, if the main event's a stinker, the entire event can be tainted.
Here on Main Event Maniacs, we'll revisit some of the most memorable main events in sports entertainment history, good and bad, across various promotions and eras of professional wrestling. I'm Jay, and happy to be joined by the elite to my all good friend and co-host Brian.
Thanks, Jay. Excited tonight. We are finally covering some AEW. They haven't
Yes,
been around a long time, but they've put on some hella good main events. I'll say that for sure.
agreed.
Yes. It's been 3 years now since Adam Page won his very first and only AEW World Championship, so it only felt right that we talk about that match. So tonight we're going to talk about the Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page match from Full Gear 2021 for the world title. And Jay, I was there.
I love this when we get ones where you were in attendance, and I'm also toast jelly because this is a banger of a show and a killer match all the way. And I'm just going to fess up right now. We haven't done any AEW yet, but I am a huge mark for Kenny Omega before the AEW days because before the IWC turned into the trash bin that it mostly is these days, all I would hear about online was Kenny Omega, and I said, fine. I went to the dark side of the internet. It existed and was mostly safe back in those days. And I saw a lot of Kenny Omega stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, I get it. I'm here. And my favorite things about Kenny Omega are he looks like just a guy that works out a lot at the gym. You know, he's not some sculpted, human, but he works like Ric Flair if Ric Flair never touched drugs. And it's amazing to watch that guy roll. And I've watched him for years, and so I was real excited about this. And we had been talking about for a while here on Main Event Maniacs. We've got to do some AEW, and it's a good time to do it, and it had to be an Omega match, and this one was a great one to pull out. And we'll talk about Adam Page here in a little bit, but I'm excited to hear about your recollections of being there because it was just a few years ago, so it was like right around the corner. It wasn't like the Judgment Day one where you had to go back to yesteryear. This was recent.
Yeah, this was really the first big event that Minnesota had since COVID, right? Because everything
Yeah.
was locked down for so long, and
Hmm.
now this is announced to come here. I was super pumped about it. Got tickets immediately once they went on sale. Went with my brother-in-law, and it was fantastic. I mean, the AEW, I've seen them 3 times, 4 times. I'm pretty sure at least two. Quake at the Lake, which was a Dynamite. This one, and I think one other Dynamite taping as well. I've been to, but they always put on a hell of a show. It doesn't matter what it is, regular Dynamite, pay-per-view, anything. It's always fun. And so this was an exciting time. I think this was the first pay-per-view they brought here, only pay-per-view I think that they brought here. I don't think they've come back with a pay-per-view yet, which I'm kind of sad about. They were recently here, but I was on vacation when they came, so I was a little bummed about that, missing that. But it's nice to see that they'll include Minnesota as a stop.
Yeah, and they do come through Charlotte every now and then too, and I've missed them because I've been out of town the last couple of times. But next time they're coming through town, I'm going to make an appointment to go and check it out because usually get a good show out of it. I know some folks that go and are big AEW fans and into this one. But hey, going into this is a big match. This is like a pivotal moment in AEW's young existence at this point. This was a big deal.
And it really was, because if you think about it, you had Chris Jericho as the first champion, right? He was the first champion of AEW, and then Kenny Omega got the title, and really they had to build someone from internal, right? Now, him and Page was known to independent fans and all that, but he wasn't really a big name coming out of it. Kenny Omega, everyone knew who he was. Everyone knew who Cody Rhodes was. Everyone knew who the Young Bucks were, right? Everyone knew who John Moxley was. All these big names we already all knew about beforehand. Him and Adam Page, if you weren't following the indie scene or the Being Elite YouTube show, I guess you would call it, you didn't know who that was. So he was kind of like the first real homegrown guy to
Yeah.
get this type of push.
Yeah, because right, because Jericho had dropped the belt, Moxley had it, Kenny Omega got it back off Moxley, working this heel angle with Don Callis and the Young Bucks, as we'll talk about getting into it here. And Page was the guy that had come up from not only the indie ranks but had been kind of homegrown in AEW when he came in. It was clearly on an upward trajectory with him, and man, they put a lot behind him, that's for sure, and they still do to this day. I just find it wild that this is his first and only world championship. Like the guy's been so over that they just, I don't know, he hadn't gotten back up into that pile yet, but they've done some interesting programs with him. I didn't realize it was his first and only title though.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about maybe why that was after we talk about the show a little bit. But yeah, it's been almost 3 years since he won that belt, right? That's kind of crazy to think about. So it'll
Yeah.
be interesting to see what happens on the show where he's wrestling against Mox for that title. I'll be curious to see how it goes for him if he can get that new world title. And I don't know. I'm not sure he can.
I don't know. Yeah, All in Texas sounds like a great show, but yeah, down the line we'll figure that out. But let's get into the build up here, Brian. Tell us how we got to this point with Page and Omega.
All right. So after being a member of the Elite since 2018, Adam Page was suddenly removed from the group by the Young Bucks in August of 2020 after Page cost them a match on AEW's Dynamite. Page competed in a tournament to determine the number one contender to the AEW World Championship, which culminated at Full Gear 2020. Page would lose to Kenny Omega, who would go on to defeat Jon Moxley for the title at the Winter's Coming edition of Dynamite in December of 2020. Page would then go on to deal with the Dark Order. They were trying to recruit him into their group. This is after an unfortunate passing of their leader. And got some good comedy out of it, right? I mean, they had a good time with it at least.
Bad.
Now,
Yeah.
I've always hated the fact that they've done this to the Dark Order and made them kind of a comic group because when they started the show, it was like this serious, dark, brooding group that they were building, and it seemed like a real badass thing. But after the death of Brody, unfortunately, they turned it into a comedy act, and it lost all its luster. And I thought it's a missed opportunity on the booking side of that. And so they kind of went to the comedy side of things as they were trying to recruit, Adam Page to be their new leader, I guess, in the group. So that's what he was kind of dealing with. And then that would lead to a kind of renewal of his feud with Kenny Omega at Fight for the Fallen, where they did a 10-man tag match between the Dark Order, Hangman Page, and the Elite. And Page would end up losing that match, and the loss made it so that he couldn't challenge, or they couldn't challenge for any titles in the near future anyway. Page would then leave the company for a little bit because his wife had given birth to their child, and so he was on a little bit of a paternity leave, so good for him. And then when he returned in October, he ended up winning the Casino Ladder match, which gave him a shot at the AEW Championship title, which is this match.
This is the AEW version of Money in the Bank, yeah, more or less. Is this cashing in the chip situation?
Yeah, kind of. It has a lot of similarities, but now they do it. They also do the one with Christian Cage where he got the contract in the weird like
Yeah.
container thing that he had
Yeah,
carried around for a long time.
I was trying to remember that. That was bad.
Yeah. So they
It's
kind of
not
went away
good.
from the chip and went
But
somewhere else. But
can I tell you, I
yes,
love this angle though. They do this thing all the time in wrestling. At least in my life, I've seen it 100 times. Where if you lose this weird stipulation match, like you'll never get another title shot again, and you know immediately when somebody says that guy's getting a title shot within 6 months. Like that's just part of the story. But I love that because it does build in the drama of like, how is he going to get back in? They've shut him out. How can he get back in? Because as we know, the chase for the face sells tickets and it gets
yeah.
people in, and that just matters. And so I'm down for this kind of angle, and it's pretty fun the way that they got us back here.
I agree with you. I like the kind of angle that they used here. I think it's a good way to do things. And what's interesting is that they were kind of going this kind of route with Cody Rhodes, remember? And he had lost and couldn't challenge for a title at
Yeah.
all
Yep.
in AEW. And then he kind of just left the company before they could fulfill it. But they kind of tried this a couple times here and, went this way or that way. Anyway, let's talk about Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega had formed a partnership with Don Callis, the evil Don Callis. Tony Schiavone hates Don Callis.
Yes, and his evil suits.
Yes. Callis helped him beat Moxley for the AEW Championship, like we said, at the Winter is Coming event. and he would go on to defeat Moxley again at AEW Revolution in the now infamous exploding barbed wire death match. And we definitely need to
Put
talk about that at some point.
put a pin in that. That we're coming back to that one.
That's right. So he went on to feud with Orange Cassidy, with Christian Cage, and a few others. And then finally we circle back with Adam Page winning that casino ladder match. We are set 1 year to the date later, well, 1 year to the event later, where they will meet again, this time with the top prize on the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we've set up, this is in the Target Center again, Minneapolis, Minnesota. A little over 10,000 in attendance, of which you were one, you and your brother-in-law. We're going to get that point of view in a minute. A little over 145,000 pay-per-view buys, so good gate. All in all, depending on who you read and believe, about $4 million cleared on that, which is not bad. Not a bad night for work. You got Jim Ross, Excalibur, and Tony Schiavone on the call. And we got a pretty stacked card here tonight, too, Brian. So I want to go through some of these because I actually dug up this whole thing and watched the whole deal. MJF and Darby Allin put on a hella match to open this thing up. And it's like those times when earlier in his career, Seth Rollins would open up a Mania or something like that and would tear the house down. Macho Man could do this. There's only a few guys that can really come out first and make things happen. And MJF and Darby Allin put on a great 22-minute match to open the show. What was that like in person?
Oh, this whole show, man, was so good in person. Like, it was nonstop action the whole night. And this match to lead off the pay-per-view was really cool because MJF, we got to remember at the time, he was just starting to really get over and over and over with the fans. And Darby Allin was a favorite because he was with Sting, so everyone liked that. And we thought we'd see Sting, and so people were excited about it. Darby Allin comes down on his skateboard and whatnot. Just a really good match to hype the crowd here.
Oh yeah, 100%. You got the Lucha Brothers, who are champions, the tag team champions. They take out FTR, which makes me mad because I love FTR and I love those guys. They are the throwback to what I grew up with in tag teams, and I'm glad to see that they're still doing stuff. But good match nonetheless.
This one was kind of weird because in the match at one point Ray Phoenix does this really bad move, and it looked like he broke his arm. In this match, which I don't believe he did. I think that was later in a different show, but it was anything. If you've seen Ray Phoenix and Penta in a match together, they're the exact opposites of the FTR. So it was just a super cool dynamic to get them because you got high flying versus I'm going to ground and pound you. Exactly. And it was a fun match. Very fun.
Well, that's why you like it. You got the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, defeated Miro by technical submission. This was an eliminator tournament final. So the winner's going to get a shot at the title. So we know Bryan Danielson's next up. Good match all around. Again, Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, whatever you want to call him, always puts on good matches. Good fun time here. Good to see them setting up who was going to be next in line, too.
Absolutely. Miro, I've always liked him, Rusev, whatever you want to call him. He's always been a fun character. I always figured that someone dropped the ball in AEW on him big time. And I've heard both ways. I've heard it was Tony Khan not giving him good stories. I heard it was, Miro saying he didn't want to do this or that with other people. Who knows what the true story is? Only they know. But that was a missed opportunity with him. And, well, he's back in WWE now, and really not doing a whole lot.
Doing what he was doing before. Nothing. So
a whole lot of nothing. But a good match. Totally different styles again. You got the powerhouse guy and you got the techno wrestler. So it was kind of fun to watch that go.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. I got a kick out of this next one quite a bit. Christian Cage and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. I don't like any of those people. But I did like the fact that they went up against the Super Click, Adam Cole and the Young Bucks, with a Falls Count Anywhere match. And the Bucks go down. Give Matt and Nick a lot of credit for being willing to eat pins and to eat losses in their own promotion. Like, they're EVPs. It's a big deal. Everybody knows about that. They make a thing out of it. But they don't mind losing one every now and then when it makes sense business-wise. And they're great heels and great to lose one. I thought it was okay. It's not a bad match for a Falls Count Anywhere. All these matches are like 20 minutes long. This is the other thing I'm noticing, too. Like, everything is timed perfectly this way.
Always. AEW always has long matches. And they put a ton on. That's why they go for like 5 hours. But what I remember mostly about this match is that they came through the Christian and the Lucha Soros and the Jungle Express, whatever, came in through the crowd, and there was a point in this match where Christian got up on the second balcony and took a dive off the balcony onto the I was gonna say the Hardy Boys, the Young Bucks, and it was just kind of cool
Nuvo
visual. It was
Hardy.
on our side of the stadium, so we got to see it.
Oh,
It
perfect.
was kind of wild, but that was what I remember mostly about this match. Good stuff.
Christian is too old to be doing these things,
Oh,
but he
he
keeps
does
doing
it
them.
anyway.
He does. I'll give him credit for that. He's not one of my favorites, but the man does know how to work. You mentioned Cody Rhodes earlier. This is the last of Cody Rhodes in AEW. Him and Pac with Arn Anderson defeated Malachi Black and Andrade by pinfall in a tag team match. Kind of a filler match, more or less, but it was okay. Weird style mixes here, though, with all of these people.
Pac is a weird one for AEW. He's going all over the place when they bring him back, and he's another one who, unfortunately, they use him for a while and then he's gone, and they use him for a while and he's gone. He's supposed to be in Moxley's group right now, and I don't think he's been on TV for quite a while. So I don't know if he got hurt or what the deal is, but he's just kind of a weird one to keep throwing in here. He's almost like, oh, we need a guy. Let's call Pac.
He's kind of the AEW's version of Finn Balor. We need a guy that can
Could
fly
be.
around, be wiring, really built over, and we'll just do whatever. And that's
Yeah.
pretty much him. So, but like I say, that's the end of Cody because 3 months later, he starts the story, which you can hear about in the archives of the Juice Box and Main Event Maniacs here. It's Dave Meltzer's least favorite women wrestler of all time, Dr. Britt Baker, defeating Tay Conti here. I love Britt Baker. I think she's awesome. I don't know why Dave hates on her, but I thought she put on a hell of a match and defended the AEW World title.
I was thinking he hates her because she broke up with Adam Cole.
Oh,
That'd be my guess. I don't know what else. Britt Baker's awesome, and I
yeah.
miss her, and I wish she would come back, and I wish she would wrestle some more because she is phenomenal. This match was cool. Now, Ty Conti at the time, now Ty Mello, I think now, she wasn't as well known to me coming into this match, but my God, those two wrestled a hell of a match in this show, and proved to me that she was worthy of being on there. It was so much fun. She came out with this face paint on her eyeball or on her eyes going all over, and just like this Brazilian Amazon coming out there. It was really cool. Really, really cool.
No, it's really cool. And I'm with you. I wish Britt Baker would come back. I like the way she works. She's fun. CM Punk and Eddie Kingston had a short match, but an eventful one nonetheless. And Punk goes over with the win here by pinfall. What I'm liking here about all of these things here is there's not one schmozzed out finish. There's not a double count out DQ. Everybody's eating a pin. There's one submission loss. You get definitive results, and I've always appreciated that about AEW. Where they're going to put on a show, you're going to see a finish.
And you should, because this is a pay-per-view. You don't buy a pay-per-view to see a DQ. You don't buy a pay-per-view to see a count-out. You don't buy a pay-per-view to not have a conclusion. So that's another thing I really like about AEW is that they don't do it. It's not about progressing your storylines for the next pay-per-view. It's about closing the ones you have or building up to continue on something that happened during the match. And I like that as well. Punk and Kingston were an interesting combination, fighting each other. It was a different kind of storyline. It was an okay match. This is probably like my least favorite match of the night. Sadly, it
Yeah.
wasn't terrible, but it just wasn't memorable.
Well, it's right before the big main event, and usually you put on the match right before that. That's like the popcorn match, or whatever. It's the throwaway. And AEW doesn't necessarily prescribe to that, but of everything on this card, this is the one that let's put these guys out there, let them do their kind of stiff thing, get it out of the ring quick. I mean, it took them longer to get to the ring than it did for the match to happen.
Yeah.
So I mean, they got out of there quick, and Punk goes over, and then we get ready for the big one for
Oh,
the
not
end.
yet.
So
Not
well,
yet.
well, no, we're talking about the big one before the match, the Minneapolis street fight. Getting rough in Minneapolis, I hear. The Inner Circle, Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Sammy Guevara, Santana, and Ortiz defeated the Men of the Year, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, and American Top Team, Junior DeSantos, Andre Arlovsky, and Dan Lambert by pinfall. That's a lot of dang people in the match, Brian.
Let me tell you, I absolutely detest Dan Lambert and his stupid group. It's so dumb. And why WWE brought him in, and then why, or actually TNA brought him in, and then why AEW brought him in, I'll never understand. However, this match was off the rails. It was so
Yeah, it
good
looked like
and
it.
so much fun. There's points in this match where you thought certain people were injured because they would be like on the floor so long and not moving, but they were waiting for their spots or whatever. But they also got the local legend Baron von Raschke involved in this match at one point. He put the
Wow.
iron claw on one of those top teen people, and I'll give him credit. Dan Lambert worked his ass off in this match, and I believe that came down to Jericho pinning him to win this match, if I'm recalling correctly. Now, you got to remember, I haven't seen this match ever on video.
Yeah,
Any
because you
of
just saw it in
this show.
person.
I saw it in person. I never saw it as a show. So I'm really looking forward to AEW putting this stuff on Max so I can go back and relive this show, because other than this main event, I've not seen it.
Jericho hit him with a kendo stick, and then frog splashed him and won. So you're
There you
right.
go.
Jericho did beat Lambert in this one, as it were. But what's wild is after that, Tony Schiavone introduces Jay Lethal, made his unannounced
Yep.
AEW debut. I can imagine the pop sounded great in the video. I'm sure it was massive in the stadium.
It was. Jay Lethal's hugely over here in Minnesota. He would make it a point to come here for independent shows quite often, and people loved his character, especially the Black Machismo character. Did he come out with the Black Machismo thing?
I don't think so. No.
No?
It's
Okay.
just coming
That
out
was
as
later.
Lethal. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
But yeah, it was always fun to see him, and I believe he challenged Sammy Guevara to a
he did
TNT title match.
Yep, TNT title match. That was the first thing he did. So
Yeah.
I like Jay Lethal a lot. He's a ton of fun, and so another one of those guys that again the internet just raved about enough that I was like, okay, I need to look this dude up, and I was like, oh, I get it. No, totally, yes, let's get this guy on a promotion. And so
Yeah.
I gotta say though, leading into the big one here, we'll get to the main event now or whatever. This is a stacked card already. We didn't even mention the dark match, that went on before. This is wild. Like if that had been the pay-per-view, I'd have been pretty happy with that, man.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this was so much fun. I had an absolute blast with this. It was just so much fun to see everybody here do it or in the matches, and I got to see so many stars. Like they do it right. Like what is this? We got 8 matches before the main event.
Yeah.
8 matches before the main event. Now, if you go to WWE pay-per-view, you get 4 matches before the main event. It's like, come on,
And
give
it
me
takes just as long.
content. It does. It's weird. I don't think they all need to be 20 minutes or thereabouts, right? They can have a couple short matches in there and really give that main event some time. But man, if you want wrestling entertainment, this is what you do right here, because fantastic.
Watching this again and growing up the way I did, it reminded me of the best of the WCW days and the NWA days that I grew up watching. This is what you got on the big shows, Starrcade, and even some of the Clash of the Champions were booked like this. Like you just got killer match after killer match. You set up and paid off feuds. They brought people out. You knew were going to be on TV next, and I was a big deal. And this is like before Nitro took over the world, and all that stuff. WCW Saturday Night was a thing, and all of that. So I'm watching this, and I'm having kind of warm memories of when I grew up watching wrestling and what I was into. So. And then, of course, as any kid we didn't have good wrestling video games until I was way into adulthood. I would just go and recreate that on, with G.I. Joe and Star Wars figures. And I had some great pay-per-views, Brian. I just want you to know.
Hey, I did it with my LJN figures.
Hey,
A lot.
fair enough.
I even had a custom built ring.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I built one out of nails, board, and some really industrial strength rubber bands that I got from my dad. So, many memories off of that. But before we get too lost in memory lane, it's time to do some cowboy shit. I had forgotten that was part of Hangman's thing here, that was going to be such a big piece of his whole entrance here. He's riding the pale horse down the empty street, and I'm going, I did not remember that was part of this whole setup, and that was his gig. But woo, I mean, I knew the cowboy angle was. I didn't realize they leaned that hard into it for this.
This is the first time they leaned that hard into it, I do believe, because that was a surprise for everyone. They must have filmed that thing at like 3 a.m. in the morning because those streets are
Yeah.
never that empty
I was gonna
in
say, who got the
Minneapolis.
permit for that?
Oh, yeah.
So,
It was kind of cool. I was kind of looking at it going, what are we doing here? Like, what is going on? But, it's not bad. It's
no,
kind
it's
of
not. It's
cheesy.
not. It is, but for a guy who's going to come to the ring alone, you got to do some sort of setup for him, right? Or you feel like you do. And so when he comes into the ring, and I mean, everybody's. Wow, that's one thing I've always loved about AEW events is they pipe the crowd mix into the TV mix. Like you
Mhm.
hear it, and you hear people loud and clear. Sometimes more than you want to, but you hear it. You hear it loud and clear in
Yeah.
there. Whereas WWE keeps theirs as kind of this dull roar, unless they're singing along to some nonsense or whatever. But yeah, you got him coming into the ring. Then Omega comes in with Don Callis, the hated Don Callis by Tony Schiavone.
Who forgot
And
to shave his head.
yep. You can take do a little stub there. I understand that happens every now and then. And it's I've forgotten. I hadn't forgotten it, but it didn't hit me because I like Kenny Omega so much that I never think of him as a heel. But I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, he's like being super heel right now, because he's part of
Even
that.
even colored his hair dark.
I know, yeah. Like I'm like, buddy, boy, he didn't color it, Brian. He got some black shoe polish and rolled that stuff out, bro. That was, whoo, that's not a good look. But it works fine, sure. But it's interesting how all this stuff works out, man, because this main event is about 35 minutes long, but honestly it's about 22 minutes of actual match stuff because they take
Yeah.
their time getting in the ring, they taunt each other, they stand toe to toe. But I like all of it. The build-up's there, and the crowd is just fever pitching, and I can only imagine what it was like, being there. You were sitting right there watching it.
Oh, everyone was super excited about this, and I remember going in and thinking, okay, I don't know if they're going to let Hangman win this match, but the way they've built him up, if he doesn't, people are going to be so mad.
Mm-hmm.
If they didn't. But man, my joy was seeing Kenny Omega wrestle in person because I'd never seen him wrestle in person before, and it was so
Yeah.
cool.
That's what I say. And what we know now is this is an injured Kenny Omega. He's not even like 70%, and he still puts on a killer show. The thing that got me in this, and I guess I've just never paid that close attention to it, but all the like names of moves that they drop in this, it's this laundry list of nonsensical phrases that somehow perfectly fit. All right, you've got the avalanche blockbuster and the sheer drop brainbuster and the elbow suicida, and I mean all this crap. And then not they get into their finishing moves and all this stuff. And to hear these announcers, especially Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross, like these classic, world renowned all timer announcers, just spitting this lingo out. It's like, am I watching a video game? Because it feels like that.
Oh,
It popped me, man. I got a kick out of it because it is these two guys are chain wrestlers. And what I mean by that is they roll move to move to move to move to move. And they're
yeah.
trading it the whole time. There's no wasted time. Even when they're doing stuff outside of the ring, they're rolling through a lot of stuff at once. They pack a ton into this match.
Absolutely. And it's, this is the first time I've actually heard the commentary for this match,
I was
right?
gonna say, yeah, you
So,
didn't get to hear that, yeah.
yeah, no. So it was kind of cool to kind of hear what they were talking about during this whole event because for me, all I heard was crowd noise and the ring and the moves and all that stuff. But holy crap, they take you on a ride in this match. And it is so good. And there's very little like downtime in the match. There's a couple spots where they're outside the ring walking around and Callis tries to get involved at one point and Heyman's kind of run him down and things like that. But otherwise, when they're in this ring, it's like all out war, and it is so good. Hitting each other with their finishing maneuvers. They're trying to hit each other with the finishing maneuvers. At one point, Heyman Adam Page hits Kenny Omega with his finishing maneuver.
Yeah, which is wild. And there was a great
Oh,
reversal out of that, by the way, too. Because I've
yeah.
send people reverse out of the old on the shoulders, the victory roll spot,
Yep.
or the electric chair, as I've heard it called. And I've seen people get out of that a lot of different ways, but I hadn't seen anybody reverse out of the one winged angel like that and then roll it into somebody. I was like, that's a great spot. Like it was
Yeah.
really, really well done. Kenny Omega gives one of the best flip bumps to a short clothesline I've seen in years.
Oh,
And we gotta mention Adam Page is not a small guy, but he's not a big dude either. They're
Right.
normal sized guys,
Right.
and because they're both like 6'1", 6'2", they're not these monsters or anything. But when he hit him, and I mean he hit him with that arm, buddy, Omega just turned completely inside out. I was like, that was a hell of a move. Like, you could feel it.
Oh yeah, and these guys, Adam Page took some bumps where I thought he seriously going to get injured. He took a DDT or no, a pile driver, double underhook pile driver, I think.
Yeah, the Tiger
And
Driver.
it
Yeah.
looked like he hit his head. It looked like he hit his head clean on that one. And there was another move he did where he also landed on his head, and I'm like, how's this guy getting up?
It was one of
crazy.
those moves where they're on the top ropes and swinging at each other, and Omega reverses whatever he was going to do and flips him backward over himself.
Oh,
And it was off the top rope. I was like, that is
yeah.
insane looking, man. Those guys, they put it on each other. And what I got a kick out of is Jim Ross kept needing to remind everyone that this is one fall, 60-minute time limit. And I was
Yeah.
like, Jim, they're not going Broadway. They're not
No,
going to do
not,
it. Like,
not tonight. Not at that pace.
I was
Holy
like,
cow.
no, these guys, they're dying. And at one point, Jimmy even says, like, you can't keep doing this. Like,
Yeah,
this is not physiology. And I was like, no, you're
absolutely.
correct. And that was right before the finish too. And what I got to ask about the finish here, because we talked about Don Callis almost gets involved. He does it. The ref gets bumped because a buckshot lariat's about to come up, and in a great move, Omega pulls the ref right in front of it, and boy, the referee takes it right on the chin. So we get Aubrey Edwards.
Yeah.
I love watching her work, by the way.
Yep.
Just sprint to the ring. We almost get the count. No, we're still going. And I did get a kick though that like after like she did almost three count, the two guys are about to go at it, and she rolls out of the ring to check on the other ref.
Yes.
And I was like,
Brilliant.
screw that guy.
That is no, that is brilliant because nobody ever bothers to check on the referee. I thought it was a great one. She came in, she made the count, it didn't finish the match. She goes out to check on her partner to make sure he's okay, and if not, she's going to continue the match. I thought that was a brilliant move.
Oh yeah, I'll give you that. I hadn't thought about it that way, but it was fun because I was like, well, why are you checking on him? These guys are beating the hell out of each other. But,
Well, meanwhile, while she's out there, Don Callis tries to sneak up from behind on Adam Page with the title belt to hit
Yep.
him with,
Tries
and
to do
Page
John
catches
Cena.
him. Yep, Page catches him the whole time, and so he gets Callis out, and he knocks him out with I think he got just a punch.
He punched him in the face.
Just
Yeah,
a
and
punch.
then he was gonna hit him with the belt. And then he throws that
Decided
down.
not to. Yep. And then
Yeah.
Aubrey comes back in.
Yeah,
And
and then
we're gonna
then
continue.
here come the Young Bucks.
Yes.
Down
Who
down
had
the
just
aisle.
gotten their asses handed to them earlier in this show, and they're still hurting, you could see.
Oh, what I love is that they're limping down together. That's what I love about these guys, is that they will sell the injury like old school, like the way you're supposed to. Like they look like they gotten their stuff kicked in. And
Absolutely.
and you wonder, like, okay, what are they going to do? And it
Well, this is
sets
when the
up-
crowd kind of went, "Oh no!"
I know,
Like,
right? You
they're
felt like
going
it
to
was gonna
cost them
be-
the match, and now we're screwed. We're going to get
Right.
screwed over.
But that's not what happens.
No.
So Page hits a reverse buckshot lariat. He hits Omega from behind.
Yep.
He goes out on the other side, and he gets the nod. Like, do it. And he goes in, hits him again, 1, 2, 3. And I was like, wow, that was a big, big surprise.
Yeah, and so to the live audience, they didn't really see what
Yeah,
was
you wouldn't
going
know what
on.
was
They just
happening.
saw the Bucks looking because I think it was Matt. Was it Matt Jackson first?
That was Nick first and then Matt.
Nick, okay. So you see him looking. He's going over to Hangman like he's going to attack him. And then he kind of just backs away.
Yeah.
And then you get that reverse lariat. He goes over the other side, and then you got the other one over there, and he gives him the nod. But we couldn't really see that. At least not from where I was sitting. which
Yeah,
was up
I
in
don't
the
know that you
upper
could
deck.
have unless you were like right there on it either. So
Yeah, so it was kind of confusing to the audience, like what was going on. But man, we popped for that finish.
I mean, the only thing I would say about it is because even on TV, the nod is just like a very little one. It's not like,
Yeah.
like it would have been better if they'd have just pointed and or done like a thumbs down or something that the crowd could have seen them doing
Yeah.
something. Because if the idea is, yeah, we're gonna let you take out our boy, fine. Yeah, we'll let him drop like Digstown or something. Like that would have played a little bit better because as it plays,
Well, I think
you
it
don't-
was-
you don't know why that's happening.
and I think it was more of a, yeah, okay, you've earned this. We're just gonna let you have it.
Yeah, which is
Right.
also strange because, again, coming up for the way I did, the Four Horsemen would never have allowed that at all under any circumstances. Arn Anderson would have gotten involved and hurt somebody. Like that's how that rolls. So it's weird to see them let you take out my guy. Like that's I don't know. And we know like
Yeah.
afterward, Katie's going away because he's injured, but nobody knows that going in. So and like you said, were they gonna let Hangman actually have the title? Didn't know going into it, so it
Yeah.
could go either way. It's an odd. The finish isn't bad and isn't odd. It's just odd to have them involved in it and to also not be involved. Like they're there, but they're not.
I think you put it perfect. Like they came down to get involved, but they didn't bother to get involved. So why come down at all? And
Hmm.
I guess it is to kind of just say, yeah, okay, we're going to give up on Kenny here or whatever they did. But it just seemed awkward and unnecessary. Let Adam
Hmm.
just pin him. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
but he wins, gets the title. It's a big celebration, a big party at the end. Crowd popped huge.
Absolutely it did.
Uh,
It was loud in there.
Yeah, oh, dude. As far as rebooking it, man, the only thing I would do is just to make the Jackson's presence have some like do something to
Have
make
some
it
meaning.
obvious. Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
mean, I think it had meaning. It was just they needed to do something a little more demonstrable to be like what they should have done is turn their backs and walked away. Like that's the ultimate like to
Oh,
walk down there and then
yeah.
turn around and walk away. Then that would have been like oh, they're leaving him alone, and then boom, he hits him again. But otherwise, man, no way. This match is awesome.
Oh, it's phenomenal. This whole card, phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't wait for it to get onto Max so I can watch the whole thing because my memory isn't as good as it used to be, Jay. So I don't remember everything, but I
Well,
do remember being just enthralled with this match.
that's why I'm thankful for gray sides of the internet that still exist and you can watch all these things.
Yeah,
So as I made sure
as we did.
as I made sure my VPN protections were all in place before I went into my Firefox incognito situation or private window, I should say. It held a Firefox forever. But anyway, afterward though, like you got to tell me like what happened. I know Kenny went away for a little while. Hangman didn't hold on to the belt for too terribly long.
No, well, he held it for almost 150 days, if I'm not mistaken. And then he would end up losing
See,
it.
to me, that's short though, because again, I grew up in days when like Flair would never drop the belt, So,
Okay, 197 days is how long he had it for.
all right, all right.
In today's days, that's actually a pretty good
I think
lengthy
that she
title
is.
reign. It's what,
Yeah.
half a year almost. Yeah, no, and he ended up losing it to our guy CM Punk, double or nothing, ending that reign. And then he kind of went in and out, right? Like he didn't
Hmm.
do a whole lot after that. He kind of got lost in the shuffle for a little while, which is kind of sad. Um,
Well, AEW kept adding talent after talent after talent and wanting to do something with them, and it just felt like Paige just kind of got shoved down the roster a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of became a little bit of an afterthought. I think he left again for a little while as well, and then came back, and then he got this killer feud with Swerve Strickland, which was
That was a
absolutely
great
phenomenal feud.
Yeah.
And then kind of worked his way back towards where he is today in the title picture, but not a lot of like really memorable stuff happened until he started with Swerve again. So he kind of, like you said, got lost in the shuffle. And then, of course, as we know, Kenny was injured, so he left for a while to kind of recover. He had I think he had, was it a back injury or shoulder injury or something?
Might have
But he
been
was
both. Yeah, but
he was really beat up.
yeah. I mean, this is a dude that was very seasoned by the time he got to AEW and has worked his ass off ever since he got there, and so it was right to get healed up. And then there was a little bit of foretelling though with the Young Bucks and him and the split that came afterward because they're now on opposite sides of things.
So Kenny was out for a little while. He came back. He was only around for a short period of time, and then he got diagnosed with diverticulitis, which is the same thing Brock Lesnar had. And it's a bad thing because if you get hit the wrong spot, you could actually perish from it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
he
very
was
serious.
gone then for quite a while after that. And then during this whole time, the Young Bucks kind of turned into the corporate Bucks or whatever you want to call them now. And they turned on Kenny Omega, who wasn't on there, obviously, and turned on Tony Khan and did all sorts of weird stuff. And it took a long time for Kenny Omega to actually get back into the ring. He's back now, which is great. But I know he came back for a short, brief stint and had to go away right away again because of the whole thing.
I I don't know how much more Kenny's got left in the tank with the injuries he sustained, his age at this point, all these other things. I do know he'll be around the business for a long time, but he's also got other interests too. But I think he's somewhat starting to transition into the let me be something else on this because right now the AEW roster is stacked to the roof
Yeah.
anyway. So I think he wants one more big program with somebody, and
Well, he's
um,
going to get it at All in Texas, man.
yes, yes, he is.
He's got what everyone ever since Kazuchika Okada came to the AEW.
Yeah,
This is the match they wanted to
Omega
see, and they're
Okada.
finally going to put it on. Now the question is they're all older now. Like they had what 3 or 4 just
Yeah,
off the charts
classics.
matches in
Hmm.
New Japan.
Yep.
Can they do it now at their ages now? And I don't know. We haven't seen a whole lot of great Kazuchika Okada stuff in AEW. So are they going to
No,
unleash it here?
I think there's a possibility for it. And I'll tell you what gives me that hope. It's the same. I saw Juice post about this on X too. Everybody talks about the Flair Steamboat trilogy in '89, but
Mm-hmm.
they ran that back in the mid '90s again.
94,
And
yep.
those matches are really good. Nobody talks about those, but they're really, really good. They're not exactly what the '89 were because those guys were at peak at that point, but they still put on good matches. I happen to think when you've got two great workers, you're going to find a way to get great matches. They're going to find a way to do it. It may not be the New Japan stuff, but it's still going to be good. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I'm really looking forward to it because I'll be honest with you, I've never seen their matches before.
Oh man! So, see again the wonderful gray side of the internet that had a lot of New Japan wrestling on it. I found a great channel for that on like Vimeo back in the day,
Yeah.
and watched all of those because everyone talked about it again. Because I was always talking about the Steamboat Flair matches that you got to see Okada Omega, and so I finally watched them and I was like, okay, I get it now. Yeah, I really do because they're some of the most incredible sets of chain wrestling you'll ever see. And Japan crowds can be tough,
Yeah.
but they pop big for those guys.
Yeah, and I'd love to see Kenny and AJ's work together too because I've heard nothing but good things about that as well. So we'll
Mhm.
see. I hope he's not on his last legs. I hope that getting through this disease or whatever you want to call it, illness, and all the injuries, that maybe he's got another chance to go for a few more years. But that dude wrestles too hard to last too long.
I mean, he's 41 now, man, and like I say, he's put himself through it a good bit.
Yeah.
So if he decided to do something more backstage, hang him up on the side or whatever, it would be a loss for the industry. But man, he gave us a lot too, and I want the guy to be healthy for a long time because he's one of, by all accounts, is one of the good guys too in
Sure.
wrestling, and so you root for people like that. So, but as far
Absolutely.
as this match goes, man, well, you said it. The whole card was stacked. It sounded like being there was an incredible experience too, and again, watching it was a ton of fun, and I'm glad we got around to finally talking about this one too because it was a great match.
Yeah, and it's nice to get AEW involved here because, like I said, they've had lots of really, really good main events. So as they put that stuff out for the public on Max and everything else, I think we'll probably delve into a few more. Definitely got to hit that exploding barbed wire
Yes.
match because,
Yes.
oh man, that's
Yeah.
going to be a classic. What a great match. And then
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because I wanted to say like we're not getting soft in our old age. We've been really nice recently on a lot of these things because I think we picked some really good ones. But Brian, it's time to delve into some of the misfires of main events. So these next few, I'm promising folks, we're gonna mix in some of the ones like, oh, why did they do that? We're gonna try to delve into some of those coming up in some of the
Absolutely.
next ones. But hey, look, it's been a blast talking about this with you, and folks, it's always fun talking about these here on Main Event Maniacs, part of the Juice Box. Of course, you can find this show on this feed from time to time. Feel free to connect with Juice Springsteen on X at Juicy Steen or on Instagram at Juicy Wrestling Closet. Subscribe on the YouTube channel at Juicy Steen. And of course, you can find this podcast, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. Go ahead and hit subscribe. Share the show on your socials as well. And if you can, leave a review. And on Spotify now, you can leave comments. So please do that. We'd appreciate it. And you can also follow Brian and I on the socials too.
that's right. If you want to follow Jay, he's at JRan here on X, and I'm at Brian Thomas 878 as well on X. We're always looking for feedback on the shows, suggestions for main events that you'd like to see. Hit us up. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. It's always fun talking about these matches and interacting with the public. So until next time, for Brian, I'm Jay. This has been your main event.
the flings. It's